Are you getting me? Right on. Okay, we're gonna do on ice hit. Five 4 was the final score of Ryerson last over McMaster. Did they? Or they just gave up? Won't be. They're playing 8. Perry said like we're playing 8. Your water in the it doesn't. Yeah. Are you too? Okay, so Jai, we'll do the hit on 2, and then I'll come back up. I'll just walk and commentate. We'll just keep talking.
Yeah, but aren't we doing the hit on camera, you and me?
Yeah, but I'm not gonna be able to hear you once I walk away. So don't say anything until I get back and talk to you.
I got you. Oh,
thank you very much. Appreciate it. Put those in the folder. That's John Rudd.
Coach John Rudd.
Yeah, grab one that's charging, and yeah, let's get to cameras now, guys. Yeah, they're gonna be a little late.
Okay, I'm gonna take it.
Oh, here they go. Yeah, here they go. Okay, so as soon as we get Cole back here, we'll go. Who? Can you go find him? It's UFT men's and Ryerson men's. So go find Weston and go find UFT. Skip. What do you mean? Yeah, we will, but we gotta get the Skip's mic first. Weston's right there. Did you mic him already? Okay, I'll give it to him. Send me Weston's mic. Hey, are you the Skip? You're not Skip? Yeah, okay, here, I'll get you first then. You remember how to do this from last time? Yeah, just belt. And I'm just gonna clip you up here if that's okay. Yeah. here. Jai Mowat will be joining us at ice level shortly as well. University of Toronto going up against the Ryerson Rams. The second time we're seeing this team as they're coming off a 5-4 win over McMaster and their last one. Third game of the day for them. First game from Ryerson, we talked to Coach Perry Marshall after the game. He said a lot of mistakes led them to be chasing the game. And they turned that around in the last one. So looking to keep the momentum going, but always tough to play your third game of the day.
3 for T, guys.
Thomas Pepper at lead.
Okay, straight and straight. Just here. That's good. Good throw.
Daniel Hokovar, the skip for the University of Toronto. And he'll be calling the shot for James T.
Line's good. Whoa, right now, whoa. Close, Matthew, close. Oh. Leave it. Oh, I think it just grabs.
And that's an interesting comment right away there. And I think it might have been Daniel Hokovar who said that rock just grabbed something. And we've seen that a couple times here on sheet 1, where some funky things have been happening as that rock gets down close to the end of the ice, as we're going to bring in Jai Mowat here, who is at ringside. Jai, I want to talk a little bit about that last game versus McMaster. And
close.
We talked about how there were a lot of mistakes for Ryerson that were leading to a lot of points scored and having them chase the game, but a lot of that was cleaned up last game against McMaster.
Yep.
Absolutely. And coming back to that last game between Guelph and Trent, the one thing you noticed about Guelph was that they were able to set their guards very well within the guard zone. It really forced Trent to have to adapt and try and maneuver the stones around and try and draw. Now the only issue was it really threw them off their game, so much so that it shook their confidence. You saw the communication levels go down, and the issue with that is communication is key in this sport. And when the communication levels go down, well, what you saw is Guelph taking quite the game into their own hands.
Gotta go line.
Matthew Prenovo
Hard line.
for the University of Toronto, throwing his second.
Hard.
And they're trying to keep this rock straight.
Really gotta go.
Toronto is sitting 1.
All the way. Roll it in. Yep. Hard. Okay. Yeah.
So some action in the first end, a common theme that we've seen in these games. As Matthias Chung will throw his second. Lineup for the Rams as it was in the first game. It's Pepper, Fennick, Chung, and Orniak is the skip.
Whoa. Roll the other way.
As it'll hit it right on the nose, and they'll roll just underneath that red guard. So a couple corner guards and a little bit of junk up the middle right now.
And as you mentioned, when you go through that lineup for Ryerson, Thomas, a lot of inexperience, but a mix of experience. You see Weston Orniak, he's been playing for quite a while, grew up in a curling family. Matthias Chung out in BC played curling as well. But together, it's their first time. So there is a lot of shakiness to their game right now as they get started into the season. But maybe with the second game, we might see a bit of improvement to their first result.
Yeah, Winnipeg, Manitoba for the Ryerson skip. Great place to grow up if you like curling.
Yep, line.
Many in the sport refer to the cradle of curling.
Whoa, let it die. Whoa. Pass
Toronto's going to try and draw in behind those corner guards, and they're going to just touch that red. I think they may have been trying to freeze to that, but either way, still a pretty good shot. It certainly is a little bit buried. Looking at the lineup for University of Toronto, James T is the lead. Matthew Prenovo throws second. The vice is Nelson Wang, and Daniel Hosevar is the skip.
Clean. Clean. Yep. Yep.
And Thomas, as we get underway in this first end,
Yep.
I can't help but
Hard
get
Tom.
energized by the fact that
Hard
we have
Tom.
a battle of
Still
the
got it,
sticks
yep.
on our hands. U of T going up
Whoa,
against
whoa, whoa,
Ryerson.
whoa, whoa.
Yes, that's true.
One of the classic matchups
Great shot, Eric.
that we quite often
Best
see in the OUA.
And that was a shot from Eric Fennick there. I would like to correct as well. Fennick is the vice. Matthias Chung is throwing second for the Ryerson Rams. Yeah, Battle of Toronto. We've seen these two teams clash heads in a lot of different sports. In hockey,
Whoa.
Absolutely.
and
absolutely.
I know you're thinking
right
about
now.
rugby because you're a rugby player.
Most definitely,
Close.
and unfortunately we took
Whoa.
a loss
Whoa.
to the U of T in our last game against them. But
Close.
now
Matthew, yep.
curling
yep.
isn't as
yep.
violent as rugby,
Roll it under,
but
roll it under.
let's just say a lot of these skips
yep,
and a lot of these
yep,
leads and
Hard.
vices out here, well,
Good shot.
they're competitive,
Yep.
and you can tell from the voice and their spirit when they're communicating with one another. So expect things to get feisty here.
Yeah, and that only goes for on the ice, though. I mean, I was listening to your conversation with Weston as well, and he talked about the community and how sure your rivals on the ice, but when you get off the ice, it's it is usually a pretty friendly relationship,
Clean.
even if it is
Yep.
the opposing team.
Yep.
Most definitely, Thomas, and
Yep.
speaking for myself as a
Real hard, Matthias.
new
You
members
still got
of this
it. Go, go, go,
community,
go, go.
it's been absolutely warm and welcoming towards me, and I couldn't
Roll that in.
couldn't be more happy. And I think that's the best way to grow a sport. Invite anyone and everyone, and just give them the chance.
So the University of Toronto is sitting one. And they have the hammer. Not a bad scenario if you're Toronto. That yellow rock is almost frozen there, just behind the tee line to that red. That would be hard to remove. And we'll see what they want to do here.
Line's good. Line's good.
Yeah, line's good,
Got a
but
curl. Got a curl. Really
you're
got
going
a
to learn
curl.
that this thing really curls at
key.
the end. Watch this.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Can't roll off. Whoa. 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 Sit.
And can they just, oh, well,
I think it's gonna dead knot, but
yep, it's a good point. So skip Daniel Hosevar.
Let's make this. There with
They,
control.
well, he controls
I
his
think
own
that's probably
team,
fair. They
and
look pretty nice
he'll be
here,
going
like,
back
that's
to
pretty
compete
gradual.
at the Canadian Junior Cup, December 27th to 29th. So they'll be back on the ice,
Yeah, dead frozen
or
on
him
top
as an
of it.
individual will be back on the ice soon, as girls outside of the University of Toronto as well, as a lot of these players
Control.
do.
We're gonna try.
Hosevar has also
Yeah, try to
already
flop
been
right
on the
top
ice a
of
little
it.
bit as
Like,
well.
If it dead nuts,
September
it's
12th,
not really the
they
end
were
of
the
world,
B
but
final winners at the Junior Slam Series.
Yeah.
And the one thing you take away from your comments, Thomas, is it's another team with experience again.
Well, at least another skip with experience and Giant. The most important thing, the biggest thing that I'm taking away is that you've got to curl, and he's got to call lines, and he's got to read the ice
Pitch to
this
net.
year.
Close.
That's something that we haven't seen a lot from a lot of these
Real
teams.
close.
Is they're still in the early
Make the
process
double.
of
Make the double, yeah.
deciding who they
Whoa,
want to be
whoa,
the
whoa.
skip and things like that.
And I think that's great, it just gives the athletes a bit of a chance to say, hey, you know what, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, maybe I should try my hand at this. And it helps you
Yeah.
explore the
That makes
sport
sense. I
even
mean,
more and helps
that
grow
was the
your
way to miss, I
passion
think.
for it.
We asked Matthias, I should say, And
should be
you know,
close.
we said, what's your favorite position to play? And he said, well, I like to sweep, but I also like to call line, and it's not being vice isn't bad either, and I play second too.
A man of all trades and a man who can do it all on the ice. You've
Yeah.
got to respect that, and it's great. It's a great asset to have on your team.
He just loves the game.
Little less. On the yellow there? Yeah. Red? No.
Toronto with hammer, and someone's probably going to score in this end.
Okay.
Lots of rocks in play, but the middle is wide open. And if you're the University of Toronto, that's how you want it. Talked about that all day. Haven't seen it a lot, though.
Hard line! Really?
Calling line, picking up on the late finish to this Rocco, and they're right off it now. As this is curling and it's light.
Jeez. It's much slower this game.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Pretty fresh out here, eh? Okay.
Yeah, it is fresh. So we
I like
had a ice maintenance break after the last game. So this is relatively
we're
fresh
trying to
ice that they're
right-
playing on right now.
There. Bite it, like, we need to bite to outcount that to be third, but yeah, just need a nibble of the 8. Speed here should be a little slow, right?
I'm just listening to Weston
Okay.
here as he gets set into hack.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Just thinking that maybe I should
Right.
go for a bit of a slower
Like enough to you
throw.
guys?
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't want to set a guard here. He wants to try and bite the top of the 12-foot on this rock, but he'd really prefer to get this in the rings, but it can't be deep.
Well, off he goes.
I think you gotta go, boys. I think you're going.
Trying to guard the middle. See if he can't be third shot
I
and
think
make
you're
it
going the whole way,
difficult
boys.
for the University of Toronto to get at least one. It's light. They're trying to carry this rock.
I just came out with nothing.
That happens, Weston. So this will probably be a draw
Watch
for
this,
one.
got in my own head. Wait. Edge of 8.
Yeah. So they're
Not
gonna.
the worst position to be in, Thomas.
Yeah.
Giving 1 point away.
Yeah. So the call is to aim for the edge of the 8-foot and see if you can't guide this one right to the button.
Sorry? No, not really. I think it's like a 13.
So looking to
Be better.
be shot for one.
That's the curl. Line's good.
It'll curl. Is the weight there? That's the question. And
I threw more, I'm sure, and it's still like stuck in. It's like
oh, I think that came up short. And I think that might be a steal. I didn't get a look at it.
Okay.
I think it might be a steal of 2 for Ryerson, but we'll have to confirm that when they put it up on the board.
Weston going to his pocket, get out the timer. Calculate how long these shots take.
sweeping for T. Top 4. Straight's okay right now. Straight's okay. Line's great. Yeah. Oh yeah, boys, every inch. Tight. Yeah, curl it then. Curl it, curl. That's good.
Lost one of our camera feeds down there at the far end, so we're trying to get you as much coverage as we can here.
Line's good.
We did have a score in that last end. Just waiting on it to come up on the board. I believe it's a steal of 2 for Ryerson. I think we can go ahead and throw that on the board. Yeah, so there they have put that up on the board. It is a steal of 2. So there you go. We finally got it. So 2-0 Ryerson Rams. Trying to fend off the Varsity Blues in the last game of the day here from the University of Guelph Invitational.
Thomas, let's get a bit more excited. Ryerson's got 2 points up on the board. Great start to this game for the Ryerson Rams.
Yep, definitely is. And we saw, or at least we didn't actually see, but we heard that they played quite a bit better in their last game than they did in the first one against Guelph. Obviously that 4 spot was really killer. But University of Toronto, well, they got a pretty crafty team as well. Daniel Hosevar obviously has quite a bit of curling experience, has some experience this year. And the one thing I wanted to say as well is that in Daniel Hosevar's upcoming tournament, that December 27th to 29th, I'll get your reaction to this, Jai. The winner of that tournament, or the winner of that tournament gets a trip to Switzerland.
Woo! Talk about a trip to the Swiss Alps. Listen, if I'm getting a free trip anywhere, I would hope it's somewhere, maybe Mexico, somewhere a bit warm. But hey, I can't blame a person from wanting to go to one cold country to the other.
Yeah, and the Swiss have got a pretty good curling scene down there, or up there, over there. I don't know how I say that. It's a long way away as well.
That's okay. That was a really good throw.
I know that in 2014,
I just gave you a bit more ice.
when Team Brad Jacobs won that gold medal,
A little.
they took 2 weeks off of curling right before they went to the Olympics. And that was the place they chose to go as well. They went to Switzerland, did no curling, and just relaxed. So I hear it's a pretty good place for curlers to go.
Well, at least now we know if you're an intense curling fan and have, aspirations to maybe meet Brad Jacobs or, other famous curlers who have been very accomplished in the sport, go to Switzerland. You'll catch them all there.
Yep.
Get all the tips and advice you need.
Should stay. Whoa.
So trying to come around and just stay on the edge of the 12-foot here. Toronto keeping hammer after Ryerson stole 2 in the first. And Skip Orniak is going to go ahead and call a hit and see if they can't roll all the way under that yellow guard.
And both teams playing very aggressive early on. You see Toronto making the most of their hammer by throwing stones into the corner of the house. Ryerson with a center guard.
Right up. Right up.
So we'll hit and roll out, and that may have been the call. I could have been wrong on that one, but either way, they get the job done. And at some point, I think Toronto's probably going to want to utilize that center guard that's sitting there in the middle. See if they can't get their 2 and get it right back. And once again, they have hammer and even ends, so that's a positive for Toronto for sure.
Most definitely. Having the hammer in the even ends is an advantage, but it's not going to win you the game unless you make the shots count.
Yeah, true.
Let's see what Weston
Yep, you can go, I
Orniak
think.
and his team can do here to maybe steal or force
Hard.
again.
Hard.
This,
Good.
well, this could be, it could be a force, I guess, but I'm sensing a blank end here on my end. That center guard, obviously, you will be able to come around that, and if you can bury it fully, you can make it real hard to try and take it out. But the draws on this sheet are just really tough. Trying to judge the weight, and it is a thing at curling clubs as well, where you get just a little bit of an incline near the edge of the sheet one, and that'll make that rock over on sheet one curl a lot more. So you got to account for that, and sometimes it takes a few ends to
Real hard.
figure out that line and weight. This will be a hit and a little roll.
Okay.
Thomas, I struggle with simple 2 + 2 calculations. These guys are calculating weight, speed, ice, how the ice has progressed over a span of few games. It's a lot of calculations, and that's why this game is all about the finesse. It's all about the skill.
Yeah, that's way above your pay grade, though, Jai. We're not asking you to do that.
No, most definitely not. But
Yeah.
when I get onto the ice one day, I'd love to be able to have all of that running in my head and still be successful getting it on the button.
If you're down, I'd really like to start picking up curling.
I'm saying we start our own team, and let's see where we go.
Okay.
I definitely think that the sky's the limit for us.
Keep going. Keep going.
We've been exposed to a brilliant community.
Get it back
So
if
many
you can.
coaches
Yep.
have
But
helped
Jai,
out with
we're
our broadcast.
we're so far from the
Hard.
sky right now.
Great sweep. Good throw.
Most definitely, we're closer to the ground. I think we're on the ground. But having this community outreach, back to our point, Thomas, it just helps you get into the sport and invested more. I mean, you might have been a hockey guy traditionally. I might have been a soccer guy traditionally, but we've now explored a new sport that gets our competitive nature going just as much as the other sports do.
Yep,
Close.
we sure
Yep.
have. And this sport has created about
Whoa.
6
Yep,
curling
yep, yep,
fans
yep,
on
yep.
our crew,
Yep.
so
Yep.
certainly brings you in. As here's a shot hoping to roll a little bit into the middle, and it'll go right across, and it will get out.
We're still one.
And now Toronto still sitting closest to the button.
Oh, I didn't even see that biter at the back there. You're right.
Well, that's what good sideline reporters do for their play-by-play analysts. They give them the sideline view.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I had my computer screen covering the bottom corner of the screen that you guys can see at home with that little biter there, but yeah, there it is, and that very well may contribute to scoring 2 in this end for the University of Toronto. As here's a rock that might just sail right through, and I wouldn't be surprised if if Weston Orniak goes ahead and calls his shot that.
Fairly okay. Like, he was really pure. This should be fine.
Yeah. So just a little tap. Probably wants to roll out of the rings. And
Normal.
see if he can't get rid of that red rock at the back. And
Like, you threw yours really good. You were just pure. So it trapped right there. Like, I think, based on how I'm throwing it right now, this
Speaking
looks like
to Coach Perry of the Ryerson Rams earlier on, Thomas, it's once again coming back to that
Let's go
main
9.
point he brought up,
On the
making
beak
sure your
is
shots
actually
count,
not
but
really good. I'd probably rather
via
roll out.
the best communication to each other.
Probably should've
each
thrown it
other.
like that.
yeah. So a hit and roll out would probably be ideal for the Rams here. As, yeah, Weston's putting a lot of weight on this. Just trying to get a piece of that red and get the yellow out of the rings.
One's coming flying in. Maybe he hits his own to get a bit of a roll.
Pepper and Chung are all over it. And he is going to get that rock
I
out.
feel bad. That wasn't how I was drawing it up.
Takes out the red.
Yeah, so you hear Weston there say, that's not how I was drawing it up.
Down
Well,
there,
I think he was trying to hit and roll the other way.
Yeah, and I thought so too. At least that way, Sure, maybe your stone gets a little bit outside the pocket of the 12-foot ring, but at least you have one that's moved a lot closer towards the button.
Yep. 2-0 Ryerson at the University of Guelph Invitational at the Guelph Curling Club. And a Battle of Toronto we have here on sheet 1 to finish off the day.
And Thomas, just imagine being some of these curlers here. They had to suffer not being able to play the sport that they love due to the pandemic, as many families around the world had suffered due to the virus. But at least now they're back on the ice, getting to play the sport they love. It must be such an exhilarating feeling.
Yeah, it's really good to see the sport, and you know we've seen the professionals as well be back, and you know on Sportsnet and TSN, so that's really good to see, and you know it's awesome to see at this level as well. That's a pretty nice shot there. As Hocevar wanted to curl that rock into the rings, he did. I think he might have wanted to bring it over just a little bit more, see if he couldn't get that one buried.
Try to give you the same throw.
So now a pretty
obviously the
similar
roll is
shot.
nice. I think like if we're on the nose, I think he's probably just going to take one anyway, but